Hello everyone, I'm Mohammad Shoaib. Welcome back to the channel. As you all know, I have cracked AIIMS RRB exam. I have also cracked RRB Dietitian exam. And through my notes and videos, multiple people have cleared the merit list. I'll show it to you. There are total 43 people selected from our Dietitian Academy. As you can see here, this is the rank list in order. The highlighted part are the candidates who got selected through our Dietitian Academy. As you can see here, top rankers are from our Dietitian Academy. And as you scroll down, there are total 43 people who got selected from our academy. As you can see here, the all highlighted part are from our Dietitian Academy. This is a very proud moment for us. If you want my notes, which will help you to crack upcoming AIIMS or RRB or any kind of dietitian exams, you can contact to this number. Our team will be reaching out to you. From there, they take up the further process. Welcome back to the series. This is the part 2 of our preparation series. If you are planning to crack these exams in upcoming years, you can follow this series. Here, we will be going through each and every topic in detail from the exam point of view. So, whichever part you have to remember, I will mention in this video. So, let's start the video. This is the continuation part of preparation series part 2. In today's video, we are going to discuss nervous system. Nervous system is a very important topic because there are 2 or 3 questions will be forming from this topic. It's very important. Nervous system is nothing but which signals the signals or transmits the signals, carries the signals, etc. All activities are handled by the nervous system. Nervous system is majorly divided into 2 parts, which is central nervous system, we call it as CNS, and we have peripheral nervous system, we call it as PNS. So these are the 2 major parts in the nervous system. In CNS, there will be 2 major parts, that is brain and spinal cord. Okay, we'll discuss later. First, we'll discuss on peripheral nervous system. Okay, peripheral nervous system work is to send the signals to CNS and receive the signals from the CNS. Remember this peripheral nervous system acts both ways. It sends the signal to the nervous system, central nervous system, and it carries signal back to the peripheral nervous system. So both ways it will work. And this peripheral nervous system is divided into 2 major segments, which is somatic nervous system and we have autonomic nervous system. What is somatic nervous system? Somatic nervous system controls voluntary actions like muscle movements, transmission, sensory informations, etc. to the nervous system. It carries the signals of the motor neurons, motor activities, voluntary muscles, sensations, sensors like smell, touch, heat, etc. This somatic nervous system carries the signal to the central nervous system. So this is the work of somatic nervous system. Then we have autonomic nervous system. Autonomic nervous system itself is involuntary actions. It controls involuntary actions and body functions, and this is the work of autonomic nervous system. And this autonomic nervous system is again divided into 2 segments, which is sympathetic nervous system and parasympathetic nervous system. What is sympathetic nervous system and what is parasympathetic nervous system? As you can zoom it here, I have clearly mentioned the differences here. In this autonomic nervous system, there are parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system. This sympathetic nervous system function is flight and fight response. When there is any urgent situation or any kind of activity which leads a fight or any flight situation, like a hyperactive sensation, it is caused due to release of norepinephrine. Remember this, very important. The flight and fight response is due to the norepinephrine. Very important. Norepinephrine is the reason for flight and fight response, hyperactive response. Okay. During this process, the dilation will be decreased. Whenever the norepinephrine releases, your body enters into flight or fight response. During this process, the dilation will be decreased. Remember this. Whenever the norepinephrine is released, body enters into the flight and fight response. During this process, the dilation process goes down. Very important. And the heart rate will increases. Why? Because we are entering into the fight and flight response where our body will be hyperactive and the blood circulation will be more. Because of that reason, the heart rate will be increasing. Okay. So remember this. In sympathetic nervous system, you have to remember is it will act as flight and fight response in the presence of norepinephrine, and during this process, the dilation will be decreased and the heart rate will be increasing. So this is the main thing you have to remember in sympathetic nervous system. Then we have parasympathetic nervous system. What is parasympathetic nervous system? It acts as rest and digest response. Okay, where you will be sitting freely without any work or your resting position. So it acts on that. Okay, rest and digest. This acetylcholine is released. Then due to this, your body enters into the rest and digest situation. During this process, your digestion increases because you're in the rest position. Your body is not doing anything. You're not doing anything. So the internal process of digestion will be increasing. Okay, in this process, the digestion will increase. But in sympathetic nervous system, the digestion will be decreasing. Remember this. And the heart rate also will be decreased because I will be sitting here in the rest position. I am not doing anything. So obviously my body enters into the rest position in the presence of acetylcholine. Acetylcholine is released during the rest and resting position. If you are in the rest, the acetylcholine releases and the digestion increases, the heart rate decreases. So this is the work of sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. I hope it's clear. If you read it once, you will be very clear on this topic. I hope you are getting my point. Remember this, sympathetic dominance, nothing but stress causes poor nutrition absorption. Very important. Okay. So this is regarding autonomic peripheral nervous system topic. Then we have a very major topic, which is brain and spinal cord. Okay. We'll discuss about the brain. So first thing you have to remember, brain weighs around 1.5 kg in the adults, and the components of the brain is, I have divided into segments. The red part from here to here is the cerebrum. Okay, and from down it is called spinal cord. Okay, diencephalon will be embedded inside the spinal cord, and we have this part which is cerebellum. Okay, here we have to remember cerebrum covers 60% of the brain from here. Okay, so you can see from here to here, the total 60% of the brain is covered through cerebrum. Remember that. And the remaining portion is from cerebellum and spinal cord. Okay, this thing you have to remember. We'll discuss in detail, but right now you have to remember this. And the components are cerebrum, cerebellum, brainstem and diencephalon, which is inside the spinal cord. Okay, then the blood flow which reaches to the brain, you have to remember this is very, very important. The blood supply to the brain is through carotid arteries. 80% blood will be supplied through these arteries, and we have vertebral arteries, which is 20% of the blood will be supplied to the brain. These two major arteries you have to remember. Carotid artery supplies 80% and vertebral arteries supplies 20% of the blood to the brain. It's very, very important. And the brain is protected by the layer of the skull. Though here the skull is divided into multiple layers, we call it as meninges. Okay, meninges is the meninges is nothing but it is a layers. Meninges contains majorly three layers, which is dura mater, arachnoid matter and pia mater. Okay, these three you have to remember. So what are these three layers? As you can see here, okay, this is the skull and this is a microscopic structure. Okay, here we have the brain. The meninges are divided into three segments, which is pia mater, arachnoid matter and dura mater. This pia mater are the soft layer which is closely attached to the brain. Okay, it is very near to the brain. It is soft layer. And we have arachnoid matter, which is web-like structure layer for the protection. As you can see here, this is a web-like structure. Okay, arachnoid matter. Then we have dura mater. Dura mater is the hardest layer. It is a bone, the hardest outermost layer of the meninges, which is very hard. It is the hardest layer of the skull. This dura mater contains large blood vessels, okay, for blood to supply. Very, very important. This dura mater contains large blood vessels. Okay, and if there is any kind of inflammation in this meninges, okay, then it is called meningitis. Very, very important. If there is inflammation in the meninges, it is called meningitis. It is one of the condition. Okay, remember this, very, very important. Then we'll discuss about cerebrum. Cerebrum is the largest part of the brain. In the cerebrum, there are multiple lobes. Okay, before that, you remember this cerebrum is divided into two hemispheres. Okay, left hemisphere and right hemisphere. Left hemisphere, suppose, so this is the brain. Okay, So the cerebrum is divided into left and right hemispheres. Okay, this left hemisphere controls right side of the body movements. Okay, this left side hemisphere controls the right side of the body movements. Remember this. And this right hemisphere controls left side of the body. Very important. I have included here. Cerebrum is divided into two hemisphere. The left hemisphere of the cerebrum primarily controls the right side of the body, and the right hemisphere controls left side of the body. Very important. You remember this. Cerebrum is divided into two layers, which is left hemisphere and right hemisphere. Two segments actually. This cerebrum is divided into two segments, which is left and right. This left side hemisphere controls the right side of the body, and the right hemisphere controls the left side of the body. Remember, very important. And this cerebrum contains lobes, which is frontal lobe, parietal lobe, temporal lobe, and occipital lobe. There are 4 lobes. Okay, cerebrum contains 4 segments or lobes, which is frontal, parietal, temporal, occipital. So what are these lobes? Each lobe has its own function. Okay, as you can see here. First we'll discuss the frontal lobe. Frontal lobe. This frontal lobe is for the decision making, like upfront movements. So decision making, motor control, speech, everything is handled by the frontal lobe. Okay, if there is any kind of damage to this lobe, it leads to paralysis and personality changes. Very important. The function of the parental lobe is to decision making, motor skills, and speech is the function of frontal lobe. And if there is any kind of damage to the frontal lobe, it leads to paralysis, personality changes. Okay. Then we have parietal lobes. The function of the parietal lobe is to feel the senses, like sensory function. It helps in sensory processing and spatial awareness. Like the awareness process, everything will be handled by this parietal lobe. This parietal lobe, if there is damage to this parietal lobe, it leads to neglect syndrome. No matter what the other person is doing or the other thing is happening, they will neglect it. Okay, this is the work of parietal lobe. Then we have temporal lobe. What is temporal lobe? The temporal lobe function is to retain the memory. Okay, main thing is memory and hearing. So the memory and hearing, auditory and language. Okay, this is the work of temporal lobe. About this vernix area, we'll discuss in the later part. This is one kind of disease condition. Okay, we'll discuss in the later part, which leads to memory loss in Parkinson's or any other kind of diseases. This is one of the condition. Okay, where it leads to memory loss also. So I will discuss in the later parts. Right now, remember the temporal lobe is the main function for memory retention and hearing and language processing. Okay, remember, very important. If there is any kind of damage to this temporal lobe, leads to hallucinations. Okay, hallucinations will be happening. And we have occipital lobe. This occipital lobe is only for the vision. Okay, visual things. It's the function of occipital lobe. If there is any kind of damage to this occipital lobe, leads to cortical blindness. Okay, very important. So this is the function of cerebrum. This is, you have to remember. Here multiple questions can be formed. If they will ask what is the function of parietal lobe, what is the function of temporal lobe, or they will ask if there is a damage to the frontal lobe, what will happen? If there is damage to the occipital lobe, what will happen? So like that they may ask. Okay, remember this cerebrum work is this. Okay, this is a major part of the brain. Then we have cerebellum. So this cerebellum helps in coordination and balance. Okay, it will help in coordination and balance of fine motor skills. If you're standing, if you're closing eyes, you can maintain the posture, you can maintain the balance. If there is any kind of damage to this cerebellum, your balance will be improper. You can't even maintain the balance. Okay, not even the coordination. If you do the claps, okay, we ask him to take hand and clap it the both side, they can't follow this process for long. Okay, they will get confused because the coordination is not there. So this is the main thing I am trying to explain it to you. Main thing, the coordination is not there. So remember, this is main thing, main symptoms of this cerebellum. Okay, if there is any kind of damage to the cerebellum, ataxia, which is nothing but improper balance. That's all. You have to remember, cerebellum work is to maintain balance and coordination. This is very important. This is the only work of this cerebellum. You don't want to go in detail. That's all. This is more than enough. Okay. Main function is coordination, balance, and fine motor skills. That's all. Then we have spinal cord. This spinal cord is about 45 centimeters in adults and extended from medulla L1 and L2. We'll discuss this medulla also. Then the protection for the spinal cord is vertebral column, meninges. Okay, there are 31 pairs of spinal nerves. This is not very important, but we can remember this. This 31 pair of spinal nerves. Okay, which is cervical, thoracic, lumbar, scalar, coccygeal. Okay, this is enough to remember about the spinal cord. Okay, so what nutrients will help in this cognitive function? This is also very important. You have to remember. See, omega-3 helps in myelin sheath formation in the neurons. Okay, then it is available in the fatty fish, walnuts, flax seeds, etc. Then we have vitamin B12, which will help in nerve myelination, which will keep the nerves healthy. Okay, and it is present in meat, eggs, dairy, etc. Then we have antioxidant. This antioxidant protects from oxidative stress. Okay, protects from oxidative stress. It is present in berries, dark chocolate, etc. Okay. Then we have magnesium. Magnesium regulates NMDA receptors, which is memory-based receptors present in spinach, almonds, avocado, etc. Very, very important. Okay. I hope I have cleared regarding the brain and spinal cord. Then the main thing you have to remember, the function of hypothalamus. Hypothalamus is very, very important to remember. Okay. In hypothalamus, the main thing you have to remember is hypothalamus helps in homeostasis. Okay, maintain the internal temperature of the body, equilibrium in the body. Main function of this hypothalamus is this. You have to remember this. This hypothalamus is a part of diencephalon present below the thalamus and above the pituitary gland. The location of thalamus, hypothalamus. You have to remember this, and which is connected to pituitary via infundibulum. Here you can see here. This is a pituitary gland. It is connected to the hypothalamus. Then we have functions of the hypothalamus. I have said, hypothalamus main function is homeostasis. Okay, the main function is homeostasis, which maintains the internal regulatory temperature of the body. Okay, and it helps in endocrine function also. There are two major functions of hypothalamus, which is maintain homeostasis and helps in endocrine system, which will signal the endocrine gland to release the hormone or enzyme. Okay, as you can see here, produce releasing or inhibiting hormones. Okay, to regulate the anterior pituitary. Then we have synthesis vasopressin, hypothalamus synthesis vasopressin and oxytocin stored in posterior pituitary. I will explain what is pituitary gland and anterior pituitary and posterior pituitary, and what enzymes, what hormones are released from the posterior pituitary and what hormones are released from the anterior pituitary. I will go in detail. Right now, remember, this hypothalamus helps to trigger the pituitary gland to release the enzymes or hormones. Okay, the main thing we have to remember. It helps to stimulate the pituitary gland to release the hormones. Okay, control sympathetic flight-fight response, parasympathetic system, etc. And is related to emotional behavior. Links to limbic system also, like aggression, pleasure, etc. Everything is related to the hypothalamus. Then we'll discuss about the thalamus. Thalamus is called as relay center. Okay, relay center of the brain. Every senses need to be passed through this thalamus except smell. The smell signal is not passing through this thalamus. Other all signals, all senses will be passing through this thalamus. Okay, the main thing you have to remember. This is the largest part of the diencephalon above the hypothalamus. Shaped paired egg-shaped gray matter. Relay center of the sensory motor signal except olfactory neurons, which is nothing but smell. Just now I explained it. The relay center is nothing but, this is the relay center. Every signal passes through this thalamus. Okay, but except smell. Smell is the only sense which can't pass through the thalamus. This is the main thing you have to remember. This is very, very important point. They will ask which sense is not passing through the thalamus. Then you have to remember olfactory senses or Smell is very, very important. Then function, as I said, sensory sensory relay, all sensors except smell passes through thalamic nuclei before reaching to the cortex. Example, there are lateral, medial, ventricle. Okay, this lateral G-nucleate nucleus relays visual information to occipital lobe. Okay, these are the segments of thalamus, and the medial G-nucleate nucleus relays auditory information to temporal lobe. Ventral posterior nucleus, which relays touch or pain to this somatosensory cortex. So this you have to remember. There are three nucleus mainly, which is LGN, MGN and VPN. So this LGN relays visual information to occipital lobe, MGN releases auditory information to the temporal lobe, and VPN relays touch pain to the somatic sensory cortex. This is not very important for you to remember. The main thing you have to remember is thalamus is the relay center. Every signal passes to this relay center except smell is passed to the relay center. This is the main point you have to remember, because the exam point of view this will be the question which they will ask mostly. Okay, then we have motor control. This ventrolateral and ventral anterior nuclei relay motor signals from cerebellum, basal ganglia, motor cortex, conscious and sleep. This thalamus also helps in sleep-wake cycle. Very, very important. Remember this. This thalamus also helps in sleep-wake cycles, and it also helps in emotional and memory. This thing you have to remember. This is not very important, but the main thing, just I said, you have to remember the function of relay center, and you have to remember the emotion, memory and sleep-wake cycle. This is the part of thalamus. Very, very important. I have shorted down here. You can go through this table. It will be very easy. And if you want these notes, you can message to this number. Our team will be responding you, and the notes will be forwarded to you. From these notes, you will get more than 5,000 MCQs to practice, and previous year question papers also, PYQs, will be present there. Okay, if any kind of information is needed, will be updated in that drive. Okay, for this you can contact this number and our team will be responding you. Then we have medulla oblongata. Very, very important. This medulla oblongata controls involuntary actions like breathing, and involuntary and vital actions like breathing, heart rate, okay, circulation will be handled by this medulla oblongata. If there is any kind of damage to this medulla oblongata, there is severe reaction, or in some cases there will be death also, because it controls the breathing process also, breathing, heart circulation, etc. If there is any damage to this medulla oblongata, the person can't breathe on their own. Okay, this is a very, very vital function you have to remember regarding the medulla oblongata. This is the only thing you have to remember regarding the medulla oblongata. But as you can see here, the most inferior part of the brainstem continues with the spinal cord, lies below the pons and anterior to the cerebrum. Then vital autonomic functions like cardiovascular control, regulate heart rate, blood pressure, respiratory control, okay, vomiting, coughing, sneezing, swallowing, sensory motor pathways, relay signals between the brain and spinal cord. This main thing you have to remember is this medulla oblongata controls vital functions like heart rate, breathing, senses, okay, like olfactory responses like vomiting, coughing, sneezing, swallowing, etc. Everything will be controlled with this medulla oblongata. If there is any kind of damage, it leads to death. Okay, it is very severe case. The main thing you have to remember. So what is pons? The pons are the transmit signals between your forebrain and cerebellum. So remember what is pons? Pons is nothing but transmit signals between your forebrain and cerebellum. Remember, this is very, very important. They may ask this question, so I just placed it here. You can check it once. Then we'll discuss very, very important topic, pituitary gland. Pituitary gland is also called as hypophysis. Okay, this is a master gland. We call it as master gland. Every function or every endocrine signal will be passing through this pituitary gland. Very, very important gland. It is a 0.5 grams pea-shaped size, okay, which is divided into anterior pituitary and posterior pituitary. See, the main thing you have to remember is the function of pituitary gland, which regulates hypothalamus control, releases hormones like GH, TRN. I will explain the hormones also, and negative feedback. Okay, each and everything happening from that pituitary. Okay, Then we have blood supply. You have to remember is blood supply. Blood supply is hypophyseal portal system, connects hypothalamus to anterior pituitary, allows hormone transport. Okay. In pituitary gland, you have to remember the main thing. There are two segments, anterior pituitary and posterior pituitary. In anterior pituitary, which are the hormones are released and their functions. Okay, we'll discuss in this. See, anterior pituitary releases GH, growth hormone, TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone, ACTH, adrenocorticotropic hormone. Then if we have FSH and LH, follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormones. These hormones are released from anterior pituitary gland. Anterior pituitary gland, very very important. They will ask which is the hormone released from the anterior pituitary, or they will give some kind of hormone name and they will ask which part of pituitary gland will be releasing this. Remember this. This growth hormone targets the liver and bones, which helps in growth promotion. Okay, like gigantism is nothing but excessive growth. If the person is more height, more than 7 feet, more than 8 feet, then it is called gigantism, which is improper height, improper growth of height. Then we have dwarfism. Dwarfing but a short height, more or less than 5 feet, 5 feet or 4 feet, is called dwarfism. Okay, in less secretion of growth hormone. Here gigantism, excessive secretion of growth hormone will be happening. Then we have TSH, which is thyroid stimulating hormone. The target organ is thyroid, which stimulates T3 and T4. If there is less thyroid stimulating hormone, you will lead to hypothyroidism. If there is more, then it is to hyperthyroidism. Very very important. Then we have adrenocorticotropic hormone, which is released, which is a target is adrenal gland. The function is cortisol production and Cushing syndrome. Okay, excess amount of cortisol present in the body. Cushing syndrome is nothing but excess amount of cortisol in the blood. Then we have FSH, follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone, which is the target organ. The target organ is gonads. Okay, reproductive part, helps in reproduction control. If there is any kind of disorder, it leads to infertility. Remember, very very important. Then we have posterior pituitary hormones. What are the posterior pituitary hormones? Then we have majorly two, ADH and oxytocin. This ADH is called antidiuretic hormone, which controls water retention in the body. Okay, it helps in water retention in the kidneys. Okay, ADH is produced from hypothalamus and released from posterior pituitary. If this ADH is released, there is a water reabsorption or water retention in the kidneys, which increases the water or blood osmolarity. Okay, what about this osmolality? I'll explain in later parts. Right now, remember the concentration of the blood, the salt concentration of the blood will be increasing. Okay, it will help to retain water if there is less salt concentration in the blood. Okay, so this is the work of ADH. ADH is also called as vasopressin. Okay, vasopressin hormone is called as ADH. Then we have oxytocin, which is a feel-good hormone. It released the function of oxytocin is uterine contractions used in labor inductions. So this is the work of posterior pituitary. I hope it's clear. Okay. If you have any kind of doubts, you can pin me down in the comments. I will try to explain it. And if you study it once, it will be very easy for you to understand. Okay. Then we have pineal gland. So remember, pineal gland is the smallest gland in the body, which is a rice grain shaped or rice grain sized. It is 0.1 gram. The weight is 0.1 gram. You have to remember. This pineal gland helps in sleep-wake cycle. The main thing you have to remember is this pineal gland helps in sleep-wake cycle by releasing melatonin. Remember, very very important. This pineal gland releases melatonin. This melatonin helps in sleep-wake cycle. Okay, this melatonin levels increases during dark time. Okay, if there is dark environment, no light, this melatonin levels increases, which leads to sleep action in the body. You will feel more sleepy when there is dark environment, and if there is a light, this melatonin will be inhibited. This pineal gland will not secrete the melatonin, which leads to activeness, not sleepiness. Okay, I hope it's clear. As you can see here, the secretion increases in darkness, peak at night. As there is a dark, this melatonin increases, okay, and if there is light, this melatonin decreases. Nothing. It's simple. If there is lot of melatonin, you feel sleepy. If you have less melatonin, you won't feel sleepy. If there is any kind of damage to this pineal gland, which leads to insomnia, okay, as you can see here, insomnia. To treat this, we have to use melatonin supplements. Okay, very important. This is the only work of pineal gland. Remember this. This is very important. Exam point of view, this pineal gland releases melatonin. This melatonin helps in sleep-wake cycle. Okay, during the dark night times, this melatonin level increases. If there is a light or daytime, this melatonin levels decreases. If the melatonin levels is high, you will feel sleepy. If the melatonin levels are low, you won't feel sleepy. You will feel active. Okay, simple. I hope it's clear. Then we have thyroid gland. Thyroid gland is very important. You have to remember this thyroid gland majorly releases T3, T4. If the hormones are less, then it is called hypothyroidism. If the T3 or TH is more, then it is called hyperthyroidism. Very simple. Okay, this thing you have to remember in the thyroid gland. And the remaining basic thing at anatomy, like is butterfly shaped, present in the neck, below the larynx, two lobes connected to the isthmus. Okay, weight is 15 to 25 grams in adults. The hormones which I have told, T3, T4 and calcitonin. This calcitonin helps in calcium control. Regarding this calcitonin, and there is a connection with this thyroid hormone, which is vitamin D2 and D3 calcium. This is one cycle, okay, D3 and calcium cycle. I will explain in later parts. Right now remember, it helps, it produces calcitonin, which will decrease the calcium level in the body, which is lead to osteoclast. Osteoclast is nothing but the calciums from the bone will be sent to the blood. Okay, I will explain in detail regarding this cycle, whole cycle, D3 parathyroid hormone and calcium cycle. We will discuss in the later part. Right now you have to remember is this is an introduction to the human biology. The subject, the topic is introduction to the human biology, where you have to remember is thyroid gland produces T4, T3 and calcitonin. If the T3, T4 levels are low, hypothyroidism. If the levels are high, hyperthyroidism. And this calcitonin decreases the calcium levels in the blood. Very important. This you have to remember. And this T3, T4 is synthesized in the presence of iodine. Okay, this iodine rich food we have to take to prevent the deficiency of T3, T4. Okay, very important, iodine levels. So function of thyroid hormone is metabolism, helps in metabolism, growth, nervous system, cardiovascular, lipid and carbohydrate metabolism. Okay, this metabolism nothing but increase in BMR, basal metabolic rate, nothing but the burning capacity of the body will increases, which produces heat production. Okay, then growth, we have essential for brain skeletal growth in children, etc. Then we have nervous system, which is normal neural development, which is alertness. Okay, alertness is due to this thyroid hormone, very important. Then we have cardiovascular functions, which increases the heart rate, cardiac output. Then we have lipid and carbohydrate metabolism. If there is lot of high thyroid hormone, then the metabolism will increases. If the metabolism is increases, there will be increase of lipolysis and glucose utilization, fat loss. We call it as fat loss. Okay, the body will lose weight or fat. Okay, very important. This is function of thyroid hormone. And we'll discuss the nutrition on thyroid hormone. Iodine deficiency causes hypothyroidism. Okay, if there is too much iodine also will cause hyperthyroidism. Okay, we have to take normal levels of iodine. The normal level of iodine is 150 Ug micrograms per day. Very important, remember that. Then we have iodine deficiency, we have to use iodized salt. Iodized salt is nothing but food fortification. In the normal salt we add iodine, which make it as iodized salt. Very important. And you can go for the seafood also. In seafood there will be a lot of iodine. This hypothyroidism just discussed with you. Then we have disorders. This iodine deficiency leads to goiter. Goiter is nothing but enlargement of thyroid gland. if you can see, some people has the enlarged thyroid gland, the very big neck, okay, neck swelling, as you can see here. Then we have cretinism. Cretinism is present in pregnancy, mostly in pregnancy, which will lead to congenital hypothyroidism, which is leaded to due to the iodine deficiency in pregnancy. Remember this. This leads to stunted growth, mental retardation. Very, very important. In the child, unborn child, is nothing but cretinism. Is caused due to iodine deficiency. Remember, very, very important, and it is present in pregnancy. Is also very, very, very important. Remember this. This kind of questions will be asked. This part is very, very important. Then we have hypothyroidism. Hypothyroidism, as you know, in hypothyroidism, it is also called as Hashimoto's syndrome. Okay, Hashimoto's, which is also called as iodine deficiency. Decrease in BMR, low energy levels, fatigue, obesity also can be happening in the hypothyroidism. Then we have hypothyroidism, which is autoimmune. Excessive hormone will be production. Here the body increases the BMR, heart rate, and here your weight loss will happen. Your body will lose weight faster. Okay, this is regarding thyroid hormone. So exam tip you have to remember is T4 is pro-hormone. Pro-hormone in the sense inactive hormone. Okay, this inactive T4 hormone is converted into active T3 hormone. T3 hormone is active hormone. Remember, very, very important. T4 is a pro-hormone, which is inactive hormone. T3 is the active hormone. Very, very important. And this calcitonin decreases the blood calcium levels. Okay, antagonist to parathyroid hormone. I'll discuss this parathyroid hormone in the later part of the videos, where I will explain the whole cycle of this parathyroid hormone, which leads to calcium and D3 deficiency also in detail. In this part, you have to remember the exam tip is T4 is pro-hormone, T3 is active hormone. Calcitonin in the blood decreases the calcium level of the blood. Then we have goiter, mainly due to iodine deficiency. Then we have daily iodine levels are 150 micrograms per day in adults. In pregnancy, it is a little bit higher. So this is the main thing we have to remember when it comes to thyroid hormone, thyroid gland. Okay, I hope it's clear. Then we'll discuss about nephrons. Then you have to discuss about the nephrons. Nephrons are the functional unit of kidneys. Very, very important. Very, very, very important. Many people will get confused in nephron and neurons. Okay, almost similar spelling. Similar pronunciation, but the total function is different. Nephron is a functional unit of kidneys. There are million nephrons in each kidney. Remember, very, very important. This nephron helps in filtration of blood and formation of urine. This is the main function of nephron. Here you have to remember the main thing is, as you can see, these are structure of nephron. This is the Bowman's capsule. In Bowman's capsule, we have glomerulus. This glomerulus filter the blood. When the blood is filtered here, the filtered urine will be passing through proximal convoluted tubule. In these proximal convoluted tubules, the urine, the waste particle substance, here 100% glucose will be absorbed, 100% amino acids, 50% urea, 70% sodium, potassium 70%, phosphate 70%, calcium 70%, magnesium 30%, and 70% water. This is very, very important. Remember, proximal convoluted tubule absorbs 100% of glucose. They may ask this question, which part of the nephron absorbs 100% of glucose? Then you have to remember proximal convoluted tubule. Very, very important. Then the urine passes through proximal striated tubule. In this proximal striated tubule, your body will reabsorb 15% of phosphate. Okay, 15% of phosphate. Then it reaches to the loop of Henle. The U-shaped structure is called loop of Henle. Here the sodium concentration, like Na plus chloride, the concentration, if the concentration of this urine is more in here, then the Na plus and chloride ions will be pulled out in the blood. If the concentration is less, from the blood, the sodium, chloride, potassium ions will be pulled back to maintain the concentration level. Here the water also will be reabsorbed, and if needed the water also will go to the nephron. Okay, from that urine passes to thick ascending limb. In this thick ascending limb, then we have the sodium 25% will be absorbed, 20% of potassium will be absorbed, calcium 25% will be absorbed, and 60% of magnesium will be absorbed. Then the urine passes through distal convoluted tubule. Okay, in this distal convoluted tubule, 5% sodium, 8% calcium, 5% magnesium, and H2O urea will be reabsorbed. Then the all reabsorbed waste substance or urine will be passing through collecting duct. In this, the final absorption again happens in the collecting duct. In collecting duct, the sodium will be absorbed 3%, and then water and urea will be absorbed variably, depends on the content present in the collecting duct. Then it reaches to the bladder. Then in bladder also there is a final absorption. In bladder, potassium 100% will be absorbed, magnesium 5% will be absorbed, for phosphate 15% will be absorbed, then less than 1% calcium, sodium will be absorbed in the bladder. Very, very important, you have to remember. This is the main thing you have to remember when it comes to nephron. Nephron is a functional unit of the kidney, and there are multi-million nephron in each kidney, and this helps in urine filtration. During this urine filtration, the glucose, amino acids, all will be reabsorbed at particular sites, you have to remember, and which maintains the concentration of urine. This is the main thing you have to remember, and this is the structure of nephron. I don't want to go in detail on this. The main thing you have to remember is, in a whole day, your kidneys will filter 180 liter of blood. Okay, 180 liter of blood will be filtered in a whole day, and per minute it will filter to 120 ml. Remember, each kidney produce 120 ml of urine. This question is asked in AIIMS 2024 CRE. Okay, 120 ml per minute is produced by one kidney. Very, very important. One kidney produces 120 ml of urine. Okay, and the main thing you have to remember is the hormones present in the nephron. There are major 4 hormones, which is aldosterone, ADH, PTH, and ANP. This ADH we just discussed, which will help in water retention, reabsorption of sodium or water to maintain the water concentration. Then this aldosterone, if the aldosterone is released, then the high sodium reabsorption will be happening, and also potassium reabsorption will be happening when the aldosterone is released. If the aldosterone levels are low, then the sodium absorption will be low, potassium absorption will be low. Okay, main thing. This is triggered when there is low potassium levels, low sodium levels. If in the blood there is a low sodium or low potassium, this aldosterone will be released. This aldosterone reabsorb this sodium and potassium inside, which will make the concentration of the blood or water, urine. Then we have PTH, parathyroid hormone. We will discuss in the later part. Right now, you remember this parathyroid hormone regulates the calcium and vitamin D cycle. Okay, and potassium also, phosphate. Okay, then we have ANP. When it is released, sodium will be less reabsorbed, and the sodium will be excreted. Okay, it will inhibit the absorption of sodium, and it will excrete excess amount of sodium. Okay, very, very important. Yeah, that's all you have to remember regarding this nephron. That's all, very, very basic structure. You know this, you can once study it, it will be very easy. The main functions I have told you. This is the exam point of view. This much is enough for this topic actually. With this video, we have completed first topic of our preparation series, which is Introduction to the Human Biology and Body Functions. It's a basics, okay, basic. You don't want to go in detail regarding the structure, regarding the segments, etc. You just know basic structure, function, and exam point of view. That's all. I have taught you how to read for the exam point of view. Now, you see, if you read lot of data, lot of information, it doesn't mean that it is good. Okay, if you are reading unnecessary information, then it is going to be waste. Your time will be waste and your effort will be waste. Okay, read what is necessary, what is needed. That's all. This is how I prepared. During my time, there was no one to teach, and there is no proper way so that I can go there or read there. So I have to read all topics. I have to read every possible book, everything I have read. But the main thing I remembered is this. Then later I thought it's unnecessary information because it is not needed going in detail. Okay, so read what is enough. Don't go for lot of topics. If you want to cover lot of topic, then it is a waste of time. Study what is needed for the exam and what syllabus that AIIMS or RRB has provided to you. Only from there the questions will be forming. If you read unnecessary information, it is going to be waste and time. It is just time waste. Okay, these are exam point of view topics. We have completed first unit or first chapter of the preparation series. And if you want to know the syllabus, you can go to the part 1 of my preparation series where I have explained which topics we are going to cover in this series. So first topic we have covered. Yeah, as you can see here, first topic we have covered it. Introduction to human biology and body functions. This much is enough. These two videos which I have taught you, part 1 and part 2, this mostly covers this unit. Okay, this is more than enough to read. And if you still want to read, you can just message to this number. Our team will contact you and share you the notes. Okay, then in tomorrow's or in next video we'll discuss on nutrients, role and significance. It's a very big topic. Okay, it needs more than I think 3 or 4 videos because it is very in detail topic and lot of questions will be forming. Nutrient and roles. If you entered in the nutrient and roles, this is interlinked to all topics. Okay, from here there will be repeated in all topics also. So instead of mentioning in each topic, in the single topic I will try to cover the other units also. Okay, because it will be correlated. So we'll discuss in the later parts. Right now we have completed the first unit and we'll start nutrient, roles and significance in the later part of the videos. And if you still not subscribed to the channel, subscribe it and like it, share it. Thank you for the support. We'll meet in the next video. Until then, prepare well. Take care. Bye.